You'd like to hire a ghostwriter for your book, but you're wondering, how does all this work? How do I convey my information to the ghostwriter? How often do we talk? How many times do I see the drafts? How do I make corrections? And so on. In other words, how does the book ghostwriting process work? Hi, I'm Barry Fox, a New York Times best-selling author and ghostwriter of memoirs, business books, and more. Let's take a look at the book ghostwriting process, beginning with the understanding that there's no such thing as a single set-in-stone book ghostwriting process. Each ghostwriter approaches this a little bit differently, so there's quite a range of processes. That being said, we can divide this into two groups: the formal book ghostwriting process and the informal book ghostwriting process. Here's what a formal book ghostwriting process might look like. It begins with the initial interviews. Over the course of 2, 3, perhaps 5 interviews with you, the ghostwriter gets a basic idea of your storyline or concept for the book. Then comes the preparation of the book outline. The ghostwriter does this, and the book outline serves as the blueprint for your book, the guide to writing it. The outline prepared by the ghostwriter may be as brief as 1 page or as many as 20, depending on your book's complexity and length. Then comes the in-depth interviews and research. The ghostwriter may spend 10, 20, 50 hours interviewing you and perhaps other people who are pertinent to the book. As for the research, that may be as simple as the ghostwriter going online to track down a few pieces of information, or as complex as the ghostwriter flying out to your laboratory, your factory, or your childhood home and neighborhood to learn more about you. So with the interviews and the outline and the in-depth interviews and research completed, the ghostwriter prepares the first draft. This may be the first draft of a chapter, a couple chapters, or with some ghostwriters, the entire book. The ghostwriter gives you the first draft, and now you have the opportunity for the author's first round of edits. Now this is your chance to check the book to make sure that it's on course overall with the content, tone, storyline, etc., and to make specific changes in the manuscript. You return the edited manuscript to the ghostwriter, who prepares the ghostwriter's second draft, incorporating your suggestions and comments. The ghostwriter gives this back to you, and you have the second round of author's edits. You return this to the ghostwriter, who prepares the completed manuscript. Now notice I said completed manuscript, but not finished manuscript. That's because the manuscript is not quite finished yet. The ghostwriter may send it out to an editor who will look to punch up the language, the tone, the style, and so on, and the ghostwriter will certainly send it out to a proofreader who will look for all those small changes that are so very hard to find. When the manuscript comes back from the proofreader and perhaps the editor, then you have the polished manuscript ready for publication. So that's what the formal book ghostwriting process might look like. But it's not the only approach. I often work more informally because many books do better when you spend more time up front trying out different ideas, mixing in a little research, trying a few more ideas, and so on. That's because some books are not amenable to being set in stone right away. For example, I recently ghostwrote a book for a woman who wanted to combine her life story with her political philosophy. So we had a choice to make. Do we combine the two right from the start and keep them tightly combined throughout the book? Or do we alternate, perhaps telling a chapter of biography, a chapter of political philosophy, and so on, alternating by chapter? Or perhaps should we spend a few chapters up front telling her story and then devote the rest of her book to the political philosophy? So we had to experiment a little bit and find the right approach before we could lock down the outline and forge ahead. In another case, I worked with an author who told me up front that his storyline was going to be a little shaky. That is, he hadn't filled out all the details yet. So we knew right up front we'd be playing around a little bit, experimenting with this and that, trying out this approach and then that approach before we could lock in the outline. So in some cases, an informal book process is best. But let me make it clear, there's no such thing as the best book ghostwriting process. There's only the process that's best for you and your book. So I'm Barry Fox, a New York Times best-selling author and ghostwriter of business books, memoirs, and more. If you liked this video, please click on the like and follow buttons below. And you can find information about reaching me in the box below. Thanks for watching.